Welcome back, Chaos Connoisseurs. This is the WTF Global Times, where we bring you 50% news, 50% satire, and 100% mayhem, all delivered with the diplomatic subtlety of a Donald Trump tweet at 3 a.m. Today we've got travel bans, dead treaties, nuclear masala, butter chicken brain hacks, and the blockbuster sequel to petrol-price horror. So grab your coffee, your popcorn, and possibly your passport, assuming the State Department hasn't already canceled it, because we're diving straight into the absurd. First up, the U.S. just told the Palestinian Authority, "You can't come to our party, you brought bombs instead of balloons." This is terror textbooks, travel bans, and the UN no-show. The sanctions update that's part diplomatic action, part reality TV elimination round. So, here's what just happened. The United States woke up, had a strong espresso, and decided to finally check the fine print on the 2002 peace agreement with the Palestinian Authority. Spoiler alert, the PA broke everything. Now the US State Department is pulling out the sanctions hammer. We're talking no travel, no visas, no popping into New York to do TikTok diplomacy at the UN Security Council meeting in September. Why? Because apparently turning third-grade textbooks into Hamas starter kits wasn't subtle enough. Because when you start glorifying suicide bombers as youth icons, eventually someone in Washington reads the footnotes. And here's the punchline. These sanctions could actually block senior PA and PLO officials from attending the very meeting where Canada and France were expected to recognize a Palestinian state. Oops, no visa, no theatrics, no TikTok war crimes tribunal. International sanctions expert Mark Zell explained it best. The PLO and PA agreed, with full signatures and likely bad coffee, back in 2002 to stop supporting terror and pursue peace. But instead of peace, they pursued Instagram jihad, ICC legal trolling, and martyrdom math classes. That's right, textbooks teaching kids to count with bullets instead of apples. If Hamas ran Sesame Street, Big Bird would be a drone. So now America is saying, you don't get to play Peace Prince at the UN while you're paying people to blow up buses. That's not diplomacy. That's Yelp terrorism with state funding. Also, let's not forget the stunt where the PA helped push for ICC arrest warrants against Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. Great move, except it only made Washington angrier and the visa office tighter than airport hummus. Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar thanked Secretary of State Marco Rubio, yes, it's Rubio now under Trump 2.0, for showing moral clarity, which is political code for, thanks for finally realizing these guys are not just bad actors, they're unwatchable. Now imagine this, you're a PA official. You were ready to walk into the UN, slap down a speech about freedom, and hold up a flag made in China. But now, you're on a travel ban. You can't even get into JFK, let alone a CNN studio. This is what happens when you violate peace agreements, radicalize kids, and still think you can show up in Manhattan like it's model UN for martyrs. And let's be clear, this isn't just about Israel. This is about the PA playing both sides, begging for aid with one hand, wiring money to terrorists with the other. They're running a fake state with real grenades and wondering why nobody wants them in first class. This move by the US is long overdue. Will it fix everything? Number, but it sends a message. A strong one. One that says, if you support terrorism, you don't get to sit at the grown-up table or even visit the dining room. Bottom line, if you're going to burn peace deals and hand out bomb scholarships, don't be shocked when the airport security line turns into a no-entry list. So next time the PA wants to scream about statehood while funding terrorist pensions, maybe they should just apply for a Zoom link instead. This is the WTF Global Times. Survive weird, thrive freaky, and remember, no one reads the peace agreement until you turn it into a Netflix documentary starring your arrest warrant, visa denied, terror glorified, UN horrified. Stay tuned, baby. We're just warming up.
Look, I told them, if you want to come to America, don't pay terrorists, pay Marriott, okay? We do deals, not detonations. Tremendous policy, really. The Palestinian Authority? More like the Palestinian Unauthority. These guys haven't run a state since flip phones. Total disaster. No Wi-Fi, no Starbucks, no peace. They put Netanyahu on a wanted list while they're handing out jihad scholarships in first grade. Under Trump, that's not a state. That's a Netflix special, terrorism for toddlers. Very sad. They tried to fly to the UN. Not under my sanctions, baby. The only airspace they'll see is a drone shadow. Maybe they should try Greyhound. Or better yet, stay home and read those textbooks. They keep editing with crayons and rockets.
We tried hope. We tried change. The PA tried text booms. That's not how peace works, folks. That's how your passport gets shredded by TSA. Well, let me be clear. If your diplomacy involves rocket launchers and martyr posters, maybe you need a different travel agent.
Come on, man. You can't just fund terrorists and then ask for a seat at the UN. That's like pouring maple syrup on a porcupine and calling it a pancake. Now look, when I was a kid, we didn't have sanctions. We had lunch counters. And you didn't need a visa to buy a milkshake, Jack.
The spirit of Helsinki is dead. Long live whatever this is. Next, once upon a time, Europe threw a giant peace festival called the Helsinki Final Act. Fast forward 50 years, and the OSCE is basically a group chat nobody checks. This is the spirit of Helsinki is dead. Long live whatever this is. A eulogy for a treaty now buried under memes and missile launches. Once upon a time, 1975 to be exact, Europe hosted the diplomatic equivalent of Coachella in Helsinki. 35 countries showed up. The US brought idealism, the USSR brought vodka, and Liechtenstein brought probably cookies. Together they signed the Helsinki Final Act, a fancy optimistic treaty saying, let's not kill each other, okay? Let's respect borders. Let's all chill. It was like prom night for Cold War superpowers. Mutual respect, inviolable borders, the scent of peaceful coexistence and Cold War cologne. But fast forward 50 years, that peace party, dead. That spirit evaporated. The OSCE still technically alive, like a fax machine in a TikTok world. Back then it was simple. NATO versus Warsaw Pact, Coke versus vodka, David Hasselhoff versus common sense. But now, Russia's in Ukraine like it's 1979 in Afghanistan, Europe's busy arguing over cheese tariffs, and the OSCE is sending observers to wars that already have Wikipedia pages. The Cold War gave us structure. Today's Geopolitics, it's improv night at an abandoned UN building. Let's be honest. The OSCE is now that old guy at the party who says, back in my day, treaties meant something. But no one listens because he's printing peace reports while tanks roll in real time on Instagram Live. They still send election monitors, sure. But even those are just glorified Airbnb guests with clipboards. Their job? Observe. Their power? None. Their budget? IKEA chair money. The spirit of Helsinki used to mean hope. Now it sounds like a discontinued cologne from Belarus. Why did it collapse? Easy. Russia invaded Ukraine. The OSCE wrote a stern email. Putin didn't read it. Also, Washington's priorities shifted. Europe went from strategic partner to premium NATO add-on pack. Now the US is like, cool treaty, bro, but have you seen what China's doing with lasers? Europe today is geopolitical dinner theater. Russia acts. The US directs. China sells tickets. Germany stares awkwardly. France critiques the plot. And Britain left the show but still demands a Tony Award. The final act of 1975? More like the pilot episode of a show Netflix already canceled. So here we are. 2025. The Helsinki vibe is dead. The OSCE is that band still playing long after the ship hit the iceberg. European security? Not gone, but haunting its own past like a ghost with a clipboard and zero policy power. The Helsinki spirit wasn't murdered. It faded quietly, then got outsourced, then banned in Moscow for being too optimistic. The world has changed. The cast has changed. But the OSCE still reading from a Cold War script in a TikTok timeline. Welcome to 2025, where treaties sleep and memes scream, survive weird, thrive freaky. Stay tuned to the WTF Global Times, because when peace is just vibes, war becomes the default app.
Listen, Helsinki, beautiful place. Terrible treaty. I would have made a better deal, like NATO pays Europe rent or something. Big rent, huge rent. The OSCE sounds like a pharmacy brand. I thought it was a cholesterol medication. Putin didn't invade Ukraine on my watch. He wouldn't even cross a crosswalk. Under Trump, borders were real. Under Biden, borders are feelings.
I remember Helsinki. Beautiful place. Wait, was that a summit or a sandwich? Either way, I shook someone's hand. Could have been a chair. Folks, when I was a young senator in 1975, we signed the final act. Or maybe it was a Bee Gees album. Either way, I told Brezhnev, come on, man.
When we said multilateral diplomacy, we didn't mean a European book club where the only topic is how to feel important while doing nothing. The OSCE reminds me of Michelle's herb garden, once full of hope, now overrun by weeds, squirrels, and one very angry Russian diplomat.
Here's a 50% tariff. Moving on, Trump just slapped India with a 50% tariff for buying Russian oil, proving once again that nothing says diplomacy like taxing your friends during a global crisis. This is NAMASTE, here's a 50% tariff, where curry meets crude in a customs nightmare. Here's a 50% tariff. Trump tariffs India for buying Russian oil, breaks global chill with nuclear masala. What do you get when you mix crude oil, curry diplomacy, and a spray-tanned populist with a Sharpie? A 50% customs disaster and a namaste that's now taxable. In an explosive August 6th executive order that sounded like it was typed entirely in capital letters and Fox News metaphors, President Donald J. Trump shocked the world by slapping a 25% tariff increase on all Indian imports, bringing the total duties to 50%. All because India dared to sip the discounted chai of Russian oil. Trump, in typical form, did not deliver this move through a polite memo or formal summit. Instead, he barked it out at a Patriots for Profits barbecue rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, while holding up a $5 knockoff globe and yelling, "India's playing footsie with Putin. We have to tax the namaste out of them." The tariff tantrum comes as India continues purchasing discounted Russian crude, despite U.S. pressure to boycott Moscow. But for Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the equation was simple. Cheap oil is equal to re-election. Expensive oil equals revolution. Washington's response? Tariffs. Because nothing says diplomacy like punishing a democratic ally during global inflation, climate collapse, and TikTok chaos. Behind the scenes, the executive order nobody in Delhi asked for. The Trumpian executive order invoked national emergency, foreign oil blackmail, and something about American bald eagles being offended by foreign spices. Legal analysts say it was drafted in one sitting by Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and an AI chatbot trained solely on Breitbart, Alex Jones, and expired Red Bulls. The order targets any country directly or indirectly importing Russian oil, defined loosely as any nation within 12,000 miles of Moscow wearing sandals and speaking English with a mysterious accent. Indian response: unfair, unjustified, and unmasala-ed. India's Ministry of External Affairs reacted like a Bollywood dad catching his son in a disco, dramatic, disappointed, and with neck veins visibly expanding. In a sharply worded statement, they declared, "We are being punished for actions other countries are also doing, and frankly, we're buying that oil for cooking biryani and funding free yoga mats. How is this America's business?" India has already floated retaliation ideas, 100% tariffs on Trump NFTs, replacing Biden memes with Modi reels, banning entry to all U.S. tech bros with AI startup in their LinkedIn. The fallout: trade, trust, and tandoori economics. With tariffs now at 50%, analysts fear exports of Indian textiles, steel, tea, software engineers, and Bollywood posters may plummet by 40 to 50%. But wait, there's an even juicier geopolitical takeaway. Modi-Trump bromance is officially on the rocks. From howdy Modi to howdy did this happen, the diplomatic roller coaster is now heading downhill. Steve Witkoff, Trump's envoy, had just returned from a failed Moscow negotiation with a peace through golf folder when Trump asked him, "Did Modi send you samosas?" When Witkoff said no, Trump reportedly screamed, "That's it. No curry, no mercy." Final thought. Let's not pretend this is about oil. This is about dominance, drama, and the eternal question, who dares mix yoga with rubles and survive? Trump's 2025 foreign policy isn't just sanctions and executive orders. It's a reality TV show with nukes, incense, and surprise customs charges. The spirit of Helsinki, dead. The spirit of Delhi, drenched in crude and curry. Welcome to the WTO Hunger Games, starring Donald Trump, Narendra Modi, and a flaming tan door of economic paranoia.
India said namaste, and I said namaste out of my cheap oil cartel. It's simple. You buy oil from Putin, you get slapped with a very luxurious tariff, 50%. I was going to make it 100%, but I'm feeling diplomatic because Modi sent me mangoes once. I told Modi, either you buy American freedom gas or enjoy Russian gulag juice with a side of sanctions. He smiled, but I could tell that was a nuclear masala kind of smile. Look, I love India, tremendous country, curry, cricket, cows, amazing. But when they cozy up with Russia, boom, tariff time. I run foreign policy like Diwali firecrackers everywhere, and nobody sleeps. People ask, Mr. President, why 50%? And I say, because 51% is rude and 49% is weak. It's the perfect number, like my IQ. Big, round, beautiful, like a samosa, but economically devastating.
India buying Russian oil is like sneaking vodka into your cousin's vegan wedding. Awkward, combustible, and somehow ends with Trump yelling deal of the century from a golf cart. I spent 8 years building bridges. Trump spends 8 minutes torching them over tikka masala. That man would slap tariffs on yoga if it reminded him of China.
When I was vice president, India was our dance partner in the geopolitical disco. Now it's like they're slow dancing with the KGB while Trump's yelling Macarena from the DJ booth. Wit. So we're taxing India for buying the thing from, who's the guy with the horses again? The Russia guy? You know the thing.
And now mental health, WTF style. Forget crystals, forget silent retreats in Goa. We're decoding the ABCDE model, the psychological kung fu that can stop your brain from acting like a Bollywood villain at 2 a.m. This is butter chicken, breakups, and brain hacks. Breaking. Your brain is gaslighting you. Yes. The messy blob between your ears is secretly a teenage drama queen with access to your emotions, and it's been throwing tantrums like a rejected Netflix villain since puberty. But don't panic. Science has an antidote. No, not lavender oil, not crystals, not joining a cult in Goa. We're talking about the ABCDE model. A psychological kung fu move that helps you stop spiraling and start rerouting your brain's nonsense. Let's decode the alphabet soup. A. Activating event. Something happens, you spill coffee, your ex texts, hey, your cat leaves a passive-aggressive hairball. B. Belief. Your brain. This is a sign. The universe hates me. C. Consequence, panic, doom scroll, sad playlist, existential pizza. D. Disputation. You pause, you think, is this really the end of the world, or am I just hangry and sleep deprived? E. Effect. You calm down, maybe laugh, maybe stop typing that 2 a.m. text to your ex with 18 emojis. This, friends, is cognitive Aikido. You're not denying reality, you're just refusing to let it mug you emotionally every 20 minutes. See, most people think emotions are caused by life. Wrong. They're caused by your interpretation of life. Your partner forgets your anniversary, your brain yells, they don't love you. But maybe they're just bad with dates. Or maybe they're planning a secret anniversary dance flash mob. Don't marry your first thought. It's usually drunk. The ABCDE method is like having a mental bouncer. It checks your thoughts at the door before they ruin the party. Example. A. Boss doesn't reply to your email. B. I'm getting fired. C. Sweaty doom. D. Or maybe they're just in a meeting or pooping. Who knows? E. You breathe. You move on. You don't sell your furniture in panic. Why this works? Because your brain wears drama-colored glasses. It interprets everything like it's a breakup song. The ABCDE method says, take the glasses off. Or at least clean the smudge of insecurity. Think of your emotions like a wedding buffet. You're upset because you're single. Until the gulab jamun shows up. Bam, you're happy. Nothing changed, just your focus. That's the trick. That's ABCDE. So how do you use this? Pause when you freak out. Spot the thought. Ask, is this helping or hurting? Argue back. Enjoy the chill. Do it daily with snacks, preferably butter chicken. Emotional strength isn't about being zen 24/7. It's about not setting fire to your life just because you got a passive-aggressive emoji. You don't need therapy subscriptions or TED Talk tattoos. Just this question. Is my thought true or just internal gossip? You're not your thoughts. You're the one listening to them, like a nosy auntie with a PhD in wisdom. And that's where your power lives, right in the moment between chaos and comeback. Use the ABCDE model. Rethink, reframe, reclaim your sanity, because your brain will keep writing soap operas. Might as well grab the pen and rewrite the ending.
People say to me, sir, my girlfriend left me and took the cat. I say, forget her, forget the cat, keep the butter chicken. Emotional support poultry is better than therapy and cheaper. No copays. I used the ABCDE method once. It worked. I disputed CNN's belief that I lost the 2020 election. And the effect? I got reelected in 2024. Tremendous effect. Tremendous belief shifting. No butter chicken required, just ballots. Breakups are tough. But here's what I do. I call Melania. I eat some butter chicken. I impose a tariff on emotions. And boom, I feel great again. I emotionally sanctioned heartbreak.
I once used ABCDE after Corn Pop ghosted me on prom night. Changed my life. Now I just pet my cat and whisper strategic empathy until the voices quiet down.
America is divided, emotionally fragile, overcooked. What we need is not just economic reform, we need mental non-support. Believe me, I've met trauma. Its name is Congress.
Listen, folks, I invented the ABCDE model. A is for amazing, B is for bigly, C is for kavef, D is for don't cry over cats, and E is for eat butter chicken like a winner. That's therapy. That's Trump therapy.
Back in the day, if you got dumped, you didn't need therapy, you just danced with a jukebox and ate lasagna till you forgot her name. But now we got this ABCDE thing. Sounds like a Sesame Street episode hosted by Freud and Deepak Chopra.
Let me be clear. When Michelle burns dinner, that's the A. My B is, oh God, I deserve this. Then C is emotional devastation. But after D, I dispute my hunger. And E, I order DoorDash. We're back to normal. That, folks, is resilience in a democracy. Some people meditate. Some people hike. I just stand in front of a mirror, stare dramatically, and whisper ABCDE, baby. Sasha says it's cringe. Malia says I need a podcast. I say let hope and sarcasm coexist.
Listen, folks, I remember when I first used the ABCDE model back in Scranton, 1952. A was for apple pie, B was for my bike, and C was for corn pop. He was a bad dude. D was when I disputed gravity, and E. Well, I forgot what E was. But hey, butter chicken, game changer.
The blockbuster at your petrol pump. Finally, India's refiners are buying Russian oil at deep discounts and still selling you petrol like it's been blessed by Elon Musk. Welcome to Pump Fiction, the thriller where the plot twist is that you're paying for everyone else's happy ending. The blockbuster at your petrol pump. Welcome to Pump Fiction, the blockbuster where India buys Russian oil at 50% off and somehow sells you petrol like it's liquid gold. Yes, friends, in 2025 the math is simple. Discount at sea, daylight robbery at the pump. Petrol, still rupees 95 a liter. In Delhi, diesel, rupees 88. In Delhi, that's right. Ordinary drivers are basically paying for champagne while getting served tap water with a garnish of petrol fumes. Wall Street would at least throw you a cocktail party before they robbed you. Here, they just send you the bill and call it reform. Meet the real stars of this show, India's oil marketing companies. IOC's profits from 8,242 crore rupees to 39,619 crore rupees in 1 year. BPCL from 1,870 crore rupees to 26,674 crore rupees. That's a 1,326% jump, not a typo. HPCL from a loss of 8,974 crore rupees to a profit of 14,69,000 crore rupees. And the private players? Reliance Industries' Jamnagar refinery, the world's largest, gulps down 1.24 million barrels per stream day, while Nayara Energy's Vatanar beast swallows another 400,000 barrels daily. At refining margins of $12.50 to $15.20 per barrel, and that's Reliance. $15.5 million to $18.85 million profit per day. It's a cool $5.65 billion to $6.88 billion a year. Nayara, $5 million to $6.08 million profit per day, translating to $1.83 billion to $2.22 billion annually. That's not a profit chart, that's Everest with Wi-Fi, steep, icy, and visible from space. That's not a profit graph, that's Everest. Now let's talk tax. The sweetest word in a politician's vocabulary. The center grabs 2.7 lakh crore rupees in excise duties. States, another 2 lakh crore rupees through VAT. Put it together, 42 to 46% of your fuel bill is just tax. They love high prices like kids love ice cream. Except here, the ice cream is invisible and the cone is extra. And here's the plot twist. Reliance exported 724 million euros worth of fuel made from Russian oil to the United States. Yes, America. So, while you're paying 95 rupees at the pump in Delhi, some guy in Florida is cruising on discounted Russian diesel, courtesy of Indian refiners. You were told, we're buying Russian oil for the nation's benefit. Translation, for corporate balance sheets and government tax vaults. It's like ordering a family pizza, watching politicians and refinery CEOs eat the whole thing, and then being told your slice is the smell. And then, boom, enter President Donald J. Trump, part reality TV host, part trade warrior, part professional grudge holder. He accused India of making a killing on Russian oil while fleecing Americans. Was he wrong? Not entirely, but in pure Trump style, he fixed the wrong part and slapped a 50% tariff on Indian goods starting August 28th. Reason? Show he's tougher than China, without actually touching China. Flirt with Pakistan for a future Nobel Peace Prize. And get revenge on Modi for not buying enough American soybeans. So the cheap oil miracle? Not for you. It's for billionaires, tax-hungry ministers, and export profits. Meanwhile, the same Russian crude you thought was saving your budget is literally fueling American cars.
They said the oil was for their farmers. I said, great. How many tractors run on petrol? They said none. I said, exactly. Tariff time. Reliance sends cheap diesel to Florida. I didn't even get a thank you card. Now they'll get a tax bill instead. India's buying oil from Russia at 50% off and still charging their people more honestly. I respect that hustle, but they're doing it to me now, and I don't like it. So tariffs, big ones. The biggest.
And that's all for today's ride through the land of weird, true, and freaky. From travel bans to tariff tantrums, dead treaties to diesel dramas, remember, the world doesn't run on logic anymore. It runs on PR, politics, and pure performance art. This is the WTF Global Times. Survive weird, thrive freaky, and for the love of geopolitics, check the fine print before you sign anything. See you next time, unless I get sanctioned first.